Well, hello and welcome again back to the show, and today's topic is going to be a discussion or a preview to a big fight that's coming up this weekend against Marcos Maidana and Adrien "the Problem" Broner. Now, we are very hyped and pumped for this particular matchup because it should be a genuine great super fight, really. So basically Adrien Broner is just coming off a victory over Paulie the Magic Man Malignaggi. And Marcos Maidana, well, you know, most people in the UK know him for almost stopping Amir Khan, and he is a big puncher for the weight and the division. So this is going to be Adrien Broner's first probably genuine test in terms of coming up against a guy with genuinely serious punching power. Adrien Broner looked good in his last fight against Paulie. The only problems were that he appears to be very slow in terms of his foot speed. And also he seems to come on square a bit. I think maybe it was the case of he felt that Paulie Malignaggi couldn't actually cause him any damage. So he just decided to try to trap Malignaggi against the ropes and just sort of square up and basically try to let it rip with both lefts and rights. The big problem is that I think with Maidana he has to be a bit more careful in terms of you can't really rush Maidana head on in the similar fashion. Because his counter-punching ability is not too bad, and also at the same time he always has that great big punch. That's the massive equalizer, the punching power. And the problem for Broner really is that he gets hit a lot. I mean, if you guys look at the Malignaggi video, Paulie was touching him all the time in that fight. He was basically hitting him with stiff jabs. He was hitting him flush to the body, especially because Broner comes in with his, well, what even Dwyer calls a defensive construct. But in essence, basically what he's trying to do is he's trying to get his chin tucked behind his shoulder. He's trying to like lean back. And the problem with that is that he pretty much exposes his left-hand side. So you'll see how many times Malignaggi actually managed to hit him to the body, flush right to the left. So basically liver shots, kidney shots, right, anything to the side, it all seemed to land flash on Broner. And Adrien Broner has this really annoying habit of like shaking his head and saying that you didn't hurt me, you didn't hurt me. And maybe against someone who is feather-fisted like Paulie Malignaggi, yes, he did not genuinely, you know, he wasn't in trouble at any point in time in terms of actually feeling the punches. But against someone like Maidana, you cannot get away with that. You can't get hit flush and then pretend and shake your head and say, no, you didn't hurt me. Because I think the judges are going to be looking towards that. They'll think that every time there's a reaction from you to say, no, I didn't feel that, they'll actually assume that yes, you were actually genuinely hurt, and you know, they'll actually score that against you. So I think Broner has to be a bit more smart. He can't be as gung-ho as he was against Malignaggi, and going for the knockout against Maidana would be nice, but I suspect that he probably should adopt a slightly more cautious safety-first approach. And some of the other signs that we've been watching the build-up have been puzzling or troubling. Maidana looks to be in good shape in terms of he looks physically healthy. He appears good, especially at the weigh-in. He looked really good. But one of the biggest problems was that he doesn't seem that hungry or motivated. We've watched videos, and quite a lot of the videos that Ellie Setback or ES News put up with him with Robert Garcia in the gym, and he just doesn't seem that hungry or motivated, to be honest. And I think against someone like Adrien Broner, that's a huge problem. You have to go into that fight as, you know, that fight being the biggest fight of your career, really. You have to be hungry. You can't go in there assuming that the other guy is just going to roll over, especially as knowing that Adrien Broner is anything but an easy assignment. So in essence, I'm slightly concerned about Maidana's, you know, attitude, and maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm misreading the whole thing, and maybe it's just you know, a cool and calm persona that he's portraying now, especially now that Robert Garcia is his trainer, so maybe he has learned new tricks and is just more relaxed about things. Whereas Adrien Broner, I have my own concerns about him. He did well, I wouldn't say a documentary, it's more like a YouTube series, and he basically, I think, is into music quite heavily, and he was on tour, and the problem is that he came back, and I think he was also in Floyd Mayweather's 24/7 with Saul Alvarez, where he professes that he's basically out of shape whilst being on his music tour, and Adrien Broner basically was joking and saying that his six-pack turned into a one-pack. Basically meaning he was out of shape, that he ate too much good food and probably didn't exercise properly whilst being on tour. So I think with Adrien Broner, discipline is a big problem. I mean, he's only, what, 23, 24, so he's still very young. He's an incredible athlete, etc. However, I definitely feel like that between fights when he's inactive and he's doing other things outside of the ring, he tends to probably enjoy life too much and let himself go a little bit too much, and that could possibly tell in the later rounds. In terms of the, yes, I'm sure whilst he's actually training for the fight, he prepared properly, but at the same time, the neglect that you've done to your body when you've been outside of the ring, that could potentially, you know, be a big problem, leading into what looks like potentially to be a 12-round tough and grueling fight. So it's difficult to actually put a prediction up, but I guess I'll have to try. In essence, we basically think that Broner is going to win this with a 12-round decision, like a unanimous decision. Maidana is not going to get knocked out because it's probably just too tough for that. He's just going to take the punishment, and there is probably a small outside chance, maybe I'd say 20% chance that Maidana may win with a KO, meaning a stoppage, if he gets lucky and hits Broner flush, maybe to the body rather than the chin, really, because again, Broner's body is a lot more vulnerable than his chin. And I don't know why that is, in terms of, is it specifically something about his chin? I mean, his chin looks solid. Once or twice Broner did get tagged flush in his career on the chin. He didn't really seem to take the shot badly at all, so I don't know whether it's just a case where he just doesn't like to be hit in the face, or whether it's the question of him being just used to fighting that way. But I just believe that Maidana being a very powerful puncher, and especially a very good puncher to the body, that could give Adrien Broner serious problems. Fascinating match, can't wait to watch it on the weekend. And the winner, the victor, may actually get a rematch with Paulie Malignaggi, who looked excellent against, well, really quite frankly, an old and aging Zab Judah in the battle, what was dubbed as the Battle of Brooklyn. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would love to see the winner fight Malignaggi again. The poor guy is, feather-fisted, but it's always interesting and exciting, and I can't wait for the press conference for that one. That should be great. Imagine, sparks would fly.